I'm Barry Williams. I'm here at the Ha Comedy Club at Times Square, getting ready to open a new show called Growing Up 70s, which in a nutshell is all things 70s. And we've spent all day rehearsing today and looking forward to our big opening night. We have a couple of weeks of previews beginning in the middle of November, and then December 4th is the official kickoff, and here we go, rock and roll. My co-executive producer and the owner of the Ha Comedy Club sat down and said, let's make up a show. And we started talking about what our strong suits were and what we could bring to the table. And certainly there's a strong identification with the 70s and me in the career. He lives there. He loves it. He knows all the music, and he thought it would be a really great idea. And so we started adding to that idea. Now, I have a couple of other 70s associations. I'm also a host for my own radio show on Sirius Satellite called, it's called The Barry Williams Show, but it's on totally 70s. So I live with that music daily, and that show's 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. I'm also the spokesperson for Time Life, the 70s music explosion. And so I understand the world pretty well. And I brought in a wonderful director, Jason Summers, who really tuned it up, did some serious contributions with writing it and directing it, and that's how it's evolved. We started talking about how could we approach this decade in a comprehensive but really fun, lighthearted way, and I'm really pleased with the way it's developed.
Every day is a party on AM radio, but we only have 3 channels. It's filling us our favorite show. Now what's the Brady Bunch, right? No cell phones, no MTV. No MTV.
Growing Up 70s is, as I say, it's kind of all things 70s. And it's sometimes, as we move through decades, we get a very kind of glossed, nostalgic look of what it was like and how fun it was and how cheery it is. And for sure, this show lives in that place. But we try and bring in all aspects of it. Some of the contradictions. The decade started with Vietnam. We went out with the Iranian hostage crisis. And we don't dwell in those areas, but it's fun to point out what some of those opposites are. There's a lot of talk about television. In fact, we kind of recreate a synthesized sitcom that incorporates all the different types of sitcoms, everything from Brady and from Partridge and 222 to the more edgier shows that came on, like All in the Family and Sanford and Son and the Jeffersons and that kind of a thing. So we can, so that the audience has a way of kind of peering back and looking in and remembering. And we do commercials in between, so like Angeli, and we have the Decade Police that come in, and anything that's any reference or any mention of something that doesn't come in the 70s, we have we have Beretta coming in, or we have Telly Savalas coming in, or to kind of break it up. And then we have the second part of it is music. A lot of music, and we kind of have taken 3 different sections of it. We have a really intense disco section, and we have what we call the bubblegum kind of section, which would be ABBA, that kind of place, literally Tony Orlando and Dawn, and then we kind of wind it all up with a straight ahead concert, rock concert. The cast, we're all getting to know each other. I was involved in the casting process. I'm very pleased with everyone that we have, with the characters, the attitudes, the personalities that we wanted. We were able to find. Frankly, it would have surprised me if we didn't find them in New York, because the talent pool is so deep. But we did, and I'm very, very pleased. There are 7 of us, and I have 2 sons and a daughter in this, and a most attractive wife, and then each of the kids have friends. So that's basically how we fill that out, and it's a live band that we have going on here, and so it's going to be a very live, fast, go for it experience. Trevor, he's an amazing young man. He almost 10. He wants to change the line in the script that I'm only 9 years old to I'm only 10 years old as soon as he hits his birthday. He's a very bright young man, and he's got a good sense of humor, a little bit sarcastic, and that plays in handsomely to what he's being asked to do. And so Jason Summers, who was doing the writing after he met Trevor, built speeches for him that are even beyond his years, and he's pretty mature, and he has great command of it, and he nails it. So it's going to be great fun as he goes through each of the characters and telling their secrets and kind of telling them off and putting them in their place. And here's just this little guy that's it's doing its fun.
I can't take it anymore! Patrick, you said something! I put up with it long enough. I never get to watch what I want. I never get to do anything. And now everyone suddenly wants my opinion? Fine. I'll tell you my opinion. Mom, Dad, forget family TV hour. You don't even know what's going on in our house. Jason isn't going to the roller disco, Dad. Even Jason's not that much of a nerd. Luther's taking him to Studio 54. Studio 54! That's where all that bad stuff happens that I'm not supposed to know about. Like drugs, alcohol, the S word.
There are going to be things that weave throughout the scenes as we move from one scene to another thing, where Trevor is not in character. He's not playing my son Patrick in the sitcom. He's just Trevor, and I'm just Barry. And his kind of question is, so why the 70s? Why should I care? And then I explained to him what that's about, what my own experience was with it, what it was like growing up on television, what it was like touring in concert, what it was like dating, what the fashion statements were. And we also find out that a lot of things, because the 70s was so pivotal in so many ways, because so many things changed for good out of the 70s, and a lot of them are still around. So you'll see, we'll talk about bell bottoms. He says, well, I see bell bottoms all the time. And he'll say, and I'll say, well, what about the music? The music. And we realize that, yes, we did have disco in the 70s, but hip-hop artists are sampling disco all the time. And that comes up with movies, remakes. A lot of movies that we're seeing today are remakes of movies from the 70s. So we're drawing kind of a bridge, between a generational bridge between what I was experiencing through the 70s and what those of us that were there and can remember what it was like, and young kids today, they're 9, 10 years old. created a rap song based on Marshall Mathers' Eminem's Slim Shady, called The Real Greg Brady. And essentially what I did when I wrote the lyrics to that great track, I tried to condense my entire career or my entire book into 2.5 minutes. And it just seems like a nice icebreaker. I've always been proud of the show. The truth is, I wouldn't be talking about Brady unless I was asked about it, and I am often. Change that all the time. So that's why I've made it a part of what I do. The reality is, I've had a very successful career outside the Brady Bunch, but I've never shied away when a network comes and says, we're going to put you on a primetime 2-hour special, and you get to play Greg Brady again. I'm down with that. I knew from even before I started in television that I wanted music to be a big part of my career and life. And the very first thing I did when the Brady Bunch was canceled in 1974 was I flew here to New York to audition for Bob Fosse for the lead role in Pippin. And it worked out pretty well. I got the first national tour, went out. It was quite an experience. We played 92 cities in 6 months, going from place to place on a bus. I was invited to join the Broadway cast for a time in '77, which I loved, absolutely loved. One of my favorite experiences for life. I've been doing musical theater ever since I was 19, 20 years old. Some 72 different productions now of shows, and some of them have been here in New York. I've done several Broadway tours. The last one I did was The Sound of Music, but I also did the Broadway national tour of City of Angels, and I've done several national tours of The Music Man. But through all those years, I don't get to play Tony in West Side Story anymore, so now it's more like Curly and Oklahoma. But I have remained very active in musical theater and really enjoy it. Did I sleep with Marcia? That's the number one question. You have to read the book. Whatever happened to Tiger? Because we had his dog Tiger that was with us for like 2 episodes and just never showed up again. And he was during filming. He went to doggy heaven because he forgot to look both ways as he crossed the street, and he was run over during the filming of an episode. So that was that. Those are the biggest questions. The thing I've learned the most is because of the struggles on the way up, and a huge struggle to maintain it, because everyone wants to put you in the past. Everyone wants to say has been or former or had what it takes, but it didn't last and all that stuff. I have beat the pundits, but the thing I've learned is gratitude. I'm very grateful. I want to thank BroadwayWorld for dropping in here to our cozy little rehearsal spot, the Ha Comedy Club, Times Square. We're excited to get going here with Growing Up 70s. Thank you for tuning in, checking it out. I hope to catch you here at the theater.